Hello and welcome to the International Pentagon Challenge. My name is Kyanite and together we'll be embarking on a very special Football Manager journey where we'll aim to try and win every major international competition in all 5 continents, forcing our hand to play with hundreds of different types of players and most importantly hopefully create loads of awesome different types of tactics along the way. Once that's complete, only then are we allowed to set our sights on the biggest of all goals, the FIFA World Cup. How many nations will we have to manage until we work our way to the top? How many dodgy names will we have to pronounce along the way? So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Alright, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the International Pentagon Challenge. It's episode 14 and as kind of promised in the last video, based on comments and whatnot, we are going to try and start to speed things up a little bit. So for that reason, I have actually played our game against Malawi. Last episode, of course, was the 3-1 epic victory against Morocco. I think that episode was meant to come out on Christmas Day. So yeah, that was certainly a Christmas present. It was just a shame that we lost half of the recording, but it was what it was. And we were kind of expected to beat Malawi with ease. But I've got to be fully honest. We went 2-0 down, and it was a bit of an uphill struggle. I am not going to lie. I want to apologise in advance if, as this video progresses, my voice starts to disappear, because everyone in my house is ill at the moment, and I think it's starting to reach me. We pretty much dominated most of the game, and we weren't playing with our regular left back. A new lad, Nathaniel, really came to the side because our main left back was injured, and our best left back, who has been our best left back for a while, never seems to really play because he's never match fit. And we went 2-0 down, 2 very similar goals, very poorly defended. Only a minute later, though, straight basically from the kickoff, we managed to make it 2-1. We huffed and puffed, and somehow just before half-time, we managed to get the equaliser. Gelson with a fantastic strike to make it 2-2. Actually, no, it was in the second half, or was it in the first half? I can't quite remember, to be honest. It was in the first half. He then put us in front. And not only did he get a hat-trick, but he thought to himself, you know what, I'm going to round it off with 4 goals. That was Malawi's 3rd goal. It was really that kind of, I don't know, like, I'd subbed a player on in the form of Boatu, and that was when I went 4-3-3. And, like, the ball was passed to Boatu, and he completely ignored it in our own half. And that was essentially what gave Malawi that 3rd goal. And I think if you look at the review, is it the review or the analysis, where you basically see player ratings? Like Gelson scoring 4 goals, 9.7. Jeremy Bella, 7.7. Pirolito, 7.1 because Adequao was suspended. Panya, 7.7. Mata, 8.2. So our midfield and strike force, bar maybe Nzola, who should have scored a gazillion headers that he still didn't manage to put in the back of the net, played really well, but the goals we conceded were just ridiculously soft. And I kind of felt sorry for our kind of forward-thinking players, because they were doing a lot of hard work, a lot of good work, and it was kind of being let down by the guys at the back. But in terms of being let down at the back, we can't afford for our defenders to let anyone down today going into our first World Cup Qualifier game. In terms of the African Cup of Nations, we've guaranteed basically qualification for the 2021 African Cup of Nations, so hopefully that'll be coming soon. We are currently above Morocco based on goal difference. Now I kind of feel slightly guilty because that 1 goal that's put us in front is kind of that 3rd goal that got added because we won Malawi 2-0 on camera, and then the game crashed 10 minutes into the Morocco game, and I lost the Malawi score, so I ended up basically playing through the game. We ended up winning by an extra goal. But either way, both us and Morocco are going to end up qualifying, and I'm not actually sure whether or not it ends up playing a difference with regards to how the African Cup of Nations groups then get drawn and whatnot, but it's not really a big deal. And you never know, Morocco in their final game, our final game of course is against Namibia, Morocco might end up scoring more goals than us and might end up finishing first as well. But we'll worry about that when we come to it. We're more fussed now about the World Cup qualifiers. We have a very, very, very difficult group, and to really add insult to injury, only 1 team can qualify from each group. So it is going to be very, very, very difficult for us. Senegal, 18th in the world, really the favourites. Meanwhile, Benin, 48th in the world, and I believe we're 53rd in the world right now. So it is going to be a very, very even game between us and Benin. So let's head straight into it. Just to clarify as well, I am going to be stopping the recording every 10 minutes or so, just to make sure we don't actually have OBS crash on us and lose recording footage, which it seems to like to do recently. So the preview, we are the favourites, even though we are the away side, mainly because our form has been really good recently, obviously, and that's what it bases the odds on. Steve Mounie, obviously known for Huddersfield in real life, decent goal scorer on this game. Big man as well, 190 centimetres. We are going to have to be careful of him up front, especially given that we are the away team. But, you know, just looking into the reports that my scouts gave me and whatnot. So I'm not really quite sure on what period of time scouts return scout reports on. But what I do know is that out of Benin's 42 last goals scored, only 8 of them have actually come after the 61st minute. So to me, being the away side, especially given that we are two quite evenly matched sides, to me it kind of tells me that if we can stay defensively solid up until that kind of last half an hour of the game, and then if it's still 0-0 or it's 1-1 for example, we have a license to start throwing more men forward, and that could potentially be effective for us. We are expecting them to play with a 4-2-3-1. We don't have too much information about some of their players individually. I guess we'll kind of gather that and get a rough idea as to who's playing well, who's playing poorly, and kind of adapt and tweak based on how their particular performance goes. We only really know much about their more popular players, who are really the likes of Mounie and whatnot. Like I said, we are kind of expecting them to play a 4-2-3-1. But as we can see, the manager also doesn't mind a bit of a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 narrow. So it is at the moment very difficult to kind of anticipate what we'll see. We'll have to adapt against it. What we do know, though, is that they've struggled against a 4-4-2. We play with a bit of a 4-2-4, which is really a 4-4-2. So they struggle to deal with a lot of crosses in wide areas. That's how they've conceded a lot of their goals as well. So really, I feel like we are set up, based on the scout reports I've received, to do well against them. But obviously they still have some good players. And obviously if we defend the same way we did against Malawi, there's no way we're going to really get anything out of this game. So yeah, let's see what happens. So in terms of our lineup, Nurio comes in at left back. I mean, to be honest, he's not still entirely match fit. But after seeing how poor Nathaniel was against Malawi, he kind of has to come in, I feel. Landu in goal, Da Costa on the right, Quagika and Bastos pair once again in the centre-back positions. Joachim Adao, who's such an important player for us as a ball winner, returns to the side. I do really feel like we missed him against Malawi. Panya as the playmaker alongside him. Mata on the right-hand side, who can be hot and cold. Bella on the left, who's been such an important player for us recently. And Zola up front, who again is a good goal scorer for us, but I just wish he was a little bit more, had better composure and whatnot, because he's always getting in the right positions. He's a big lad. He's always, you know, getting in on the end of headers, but he always puts them over the bar, which is kind of problematic for us. But fortunately, Gelson is in terrific form, so hopefully that kind of makes up for it. As far as Benin are concerned, they're the home team. They've got Mama in midfield, Kiki at left back, some interesting names, 4-2-3-1, Mounie up front. In terms of players I recognise, probably only really Mounie. Like I said before, the main issue for us at the moment is that when we click on these players, we don't really know much about them. Scouting is required, and there's only so much scouting my players can do. The only player that we really do know much about is Mounie, because he obviously plays at a pretty high level, which is the Bundesliga. So naturally, the game gives us more stats about him and assumes we know more about him. In terms of our tactical approach, we've obviously gone for our more standard approach. Obviously, this is the normal approach we take, which is a bit more attacking. This one, Clinton Mata drops onto support. Standard mentality, a bit more disciplined. And it's the same, basically, blueprint we always use. We just look to tweak based on where we feel we can hit the opposition. And with the opposition kind of playing a 4-2-3-1, I need to see how defensive the wide men get for them. If not, we're going to look to try and basically outnumber them on the flanks. With them playing a 4-2-3-1, they are going to have an extra man in midfield. So again, it's going to be all about trying to get Nzola in the game and transitioning as fast as possible within our regards from defence to attack. But let's not try and anticipate too much ahead. Let's just try and tweak based on what we see in the game. So here we go. Are we actually going to have national anthems? Yes, we're having national anthems. Oh, I don't know what the Angolan national anthem is, to be fair. There's no one watching the game in the crowd. That's quite disappointing, to be honest. Oops. Oh, God. Right. Yep. Just remembered. Man marking. I always forget to do my man marking. And always, like, when the opposition kick off straight away, I'm always like, something doesn't quite look right here in terms of our shape. And that is basically what is causing it. Let's just hope that they're not going to score a goal already. Oh, God. There we go. Now we can counter-attack. Let's see what happens. Gelson. Ball forward towards Bella. Can we get an early goal here? Bella towards Nzola. Oh, yes! Bella made the goal. Well, I said that Nzola has really been struggling with getting his headers on target. And my word, 1 minute in, straight out the blocks, and we've basically, well, that's the first goal of our World Cup Qualifier journey, I guess. I mean, let's not get too overexcited, but, you know, it's a nice start. And like I said, I mean, a lot of the goals that Benin have been conceding recently have been from from crosses. And it's why I think it is important, you know, to utilise your scouts and to try and take advantage of weaknesses you are aware of with regards to your opposition. And you can also see your own team report, which is quite useful as well, so you know which areas you potentially need to improve too. Right, one area I know Benin are a much better team than us in is actually in the air. The only real kind of strong aerial player we have is, as you can probably tell by now, Nzola up front. Even our centre-backs aren't really that great. Our other second best kind of centre-back is Ramalho, who plays in La Liga. But the reason why Quagika gets in ahead of him, and I think the reason why Quagika ends up playing better than him, is because aerially he is just a much better player. And that against teams that play with big strikers, it ends up basically paying off a little bit better for us defensively. That's a bit disappointing that. It did look like we were a little bit too wide, but I'm not really too fussed. I think it was the main first attack I've really seen from them. We've, based on what I've seen so far, looked like a threat down the wings. We can adjust to try and get more out of that as the game progresses. And I feel like we are always going to concede goals because I feel like the way we are set up is to be better on the offence because that is where our stronger players just are. So we have to kind of deal with it. Apparently someone's offside and Zola's offside. So very, very high line coming out from Benin. So it just goes to show that given how we play, we don't necessarily specifically play on the counter-attack, but our mentality allows us to focus really on trying to do that. Looking to get the ball forward and whatnot quite fast. What even is that? So yeah, that high line could end up being something that works well for us. I think to try and take advantage of that, Gelson is pretty pacey, so I'm going to actually set him to a poacher. That way he can try and basically ensure he stays on the shoulder of the last defender and makes himself an option that way. You know, most of the highlights have been us. Gelson's in, Gelson will shoot, and Gelson will score, because that is what Gelson does. I thought for a second then it was offside. Okay, that was nice. And now let's just do this. They've only got one striker. We can afford to play out of defence. And basically, tell the lads to concentrate. Let's try and go in with the lead at half-time. I think managing Angola has certainly been interesting so far because the style of football that we play is very unlike the style of football I usually play. Like, we're very attacking, very forward-thinking, and normally I like to play more defensive and more on the counter-attack, which I think we actually did kind of when we were the Congo manager. We're accumulating far too many yellow cards at the moment. But then again, I think they've got a few yellow cards, so maybe it's the referee is a bit of a bell end. They've done that quite a few times where they're abusing our left-hand side, getting balls into the box. Oh, God. Guys. Oh. And that's what happens when you tell them to play out of the defence. And are we going to live to regret that? Like I said, the left-hand side has caused us a lot of problems. Let's turn that off. I was thinking, yeah, they've only got one striker, so we can afford to do that. But maybe not. Landu now should go back to Hoofinitz and Zola. This might end up being rolled out because the instruction wouldn't have kicked in yet. Yeah. So Bastos, BPD. Okay. Can we just, like, you know, get rid of it? Nice. And Zola's in. A cross goal. No. Okay. That is annoying. That should have been a goal. He should have passed that across to Gelson there, and that would have been game over. But apparently not. But again, it was a sign that, you know, there's space to exploit behind that high line, which was something I identified relatively early on. But yeah, they do look good. Do Benin. I think Bella's gonna have to change to a winger in the second half. Because even though he's told to really man mark the... Why are they still rolling it out the back? Okay, well done, Quagika. That's a goal. It paid off in the end. It was basically the exact same scenario we saw earlier on, and I don't know, he actually put the ball in the back of the net, which is good. It's that high line and the fact that we got two strikers who are both quite pacey. So yeah, don't concede. What are we doing? It's always down this left-hand side. It should be half-time by now. Why? Oh God, no. Okay, he's only on a yellow. He's only on a yellow now. We are gonna have to address this. I'm thinking. I don't want to make it seem like I'm going negative. Struggle to make inroads into attacking areas from central areas. Struggle to maintain possession. Quagika lost possession. Okay, I think it's important now. Tell them not to get complacent. I think that's really important right now. And it's tough, really, because I feel like we need to pack the midfield and just look at the sheer number of yellow cards that we've got. I mean, I'm going to have to get rid of that, basically. How are we going to address this now? So I'm going to move both Mata back, and I'm also going to set Bella to be a winger on support, and hopefully he'll actually kind of help out a little bit more defensively as well. I'm not going to move him back because he's not too comfortable there. And Zola, for me, can now be changed to a defensive forward on defend. And, yeah, other than that, doesn't really feel like we necessarily do need to change too much. Gelson doesn't necessarily have to be a poacher anymore, doesn't really feel like. We'll turn him back into an inside forward. Inside forward, advanced forward. Other changes we might potentially want to make. I think I'm going to turn him into a defensive fullback, just to try and basically make sure that, you know, he has a better time doing his job. And I'm going to get rid of these two instructions, try and simplify the world for him. I think as well, substitutions are going to have to be made. Okay, I'm actually going to sub him off, and Bruno Gaspar can come on. This isn't ideal because he's right-footed, but as a defensive fullback, he just basically has to defend. And we could do with maybe taking another player off. Bella, he can't play on the right-hand side, which is annoying because he's right-footed as well. See, these are the types of challenges that you face with international management, where, like, you have these problems and you can't address it in like a transfer window. Okay, then. We're going to kick off for the first half. And we do obviously have to be careful. Did I do a team talk? Yeah, did I? I can't remember if I did a team talk. We're slowly starting to get closer to that all-important 60th mark. And for us at the moment, I think it's kind of important to basically keep an eye on the hand that the Benin manager will play. See what kind of changes they come up with. Let's see what we can do from here, though. Let's utilise the wide areas. Gelson, don't... Okay, fine. Unlucky. Unlucky. That wasn't too bad. I am actually gonna do what I just discussed and just be fairly narrow. Because the thing is, we dropped to a standard mentality, and obviously narrow on a standard mentality is very different to like attacking and whatnot. We're sitting very deep as well. Their fullbacks are starting to come into play a lot more, and yeah, I don't want to make any knee-jerk decisions. It is always tempting. Oh, 4-1 would have really killed it off there, wouldn't it? I'm just going to try and raise our own defensive line a little bit. That way, like, I don't want to be sat as deep when they apply pressure to us, you get what I mean? But I think we are very, very slowly going to reach the point where we are going to have to get rid of 2 strikers up front. It's created opportunities like we saw on the counter-attack and direct balls forward and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, at 3-1 up away from home, that's not precisely what we need right now. Now, most of their attacks have come down our left-hand side, so I'm just going to try and start tackling these lot hard and try and put them on to their weaker feet, which is probably going to end up being their left foot anyways. Just try and reduce them crosses that are coming in. Panya's having a good game, but we are starting really to reach that point where it's probably about time we do start to, you know, make some changes. I feel like a 4-1-4-1 is 4-1-4-1 on a kind of like short passing control, slow mentality is what we'd really be looking for right now. It's a nice ball. Go on. Oh, unlucky. Unlucky. And the idea really is just for us to create them flanks. Like, I know we've reached the 60th minute mark, so hopefully that'll make our life a little bit easier. What are they doing here? Our life a little bit easier, because they're going to basically start to struggle a little bit more. I mean, obviously that may not necessarily happen, but according to our scouts, obviously, and historically, they do tend to switch off a little bit. Whether that's due to them tiring and whatnot, I don't know. Unlucky there from Bella. I'm going to wait just until the 70th minute, because we've had some nice highlights now, which again suggests that Benin are starting to struggle. But we do have a lot of yellow cards. They're going to make that sub now, so forget the 70th minute. It's my time to shine. So, you know, it's not really ideal, but for me, I feel like Gelson is going to come off. We're going to sacrifice him. I don't want to take Panya off because he's had a good game. I'm going to move Joachim Adao to become a, basically, ball-winning midfielder in the defensive midfield area. Bella's had a good game, so I'll keep him on there. But we're going to go with another centre mid. And Zola will play up front on his own. And now it's just a case of who's going to go in midfield. It has to really be Pirolito, who I'll just set him to basically defend. And I want to sub on... Is Geraldo right-footed? He's left-footed, isn't he? Bella can't play out here. I'm going to sub on Ari Papel and move him up here. I'm going to look to exploit the right flank. Reason for that is because I feel like he's got pace to burn right now, coming on nice and fresh. And we'll slow our tempo down a little bit. Tell him to dribble a little bit less. And close down a little bit less as well. So in terms of yellow cards, we've still got Quagika on. We've made all 3 subs. As we approach like the last 10 minutes or so of the game, I'll turn Get Stuck In back on just to try and, you know, really hammer home that you guys aren't going to get anywhere near an equaliser. Give them a bit of encouragement. Okay, unlucky. They're starting to get free kicks, and I don't like this. Boom. Go on, lad. Chase after it. That's what we want. We want you. You got pace to burn. He's taking it past one. He finds Pana. Play that across to Bella. And for some reason, he played it like head height to him. And he tries to head it from there. I mean, what? This is nice. And play this back to our midfield, dude. Nope. Still wants to go forward, doesn't he? There's no need for that. Win the header. And a free kick is awarded. Oh, to us. Hallelujah. Benin supporters are leaving the stadium already. Tighten up. 85th minute. Drop down to defensive. Get the time wasting tactics on. And we can walk out of it with all 3 points, which is really pleasing. Really, really, really pleasing. If we manage to basically beat Benin both times we play them, who else is in our group? Is it Kenya? I can't quite remember, but Benin are kind of that team that are kind of the same level as us within this group. It's Senegal who are really the big team to beat, and it is so important that we beat Benin and the other team. Basically, each time we play them, we want to aim to win every game, right? And leave ourselves with a possibility of getting some decent results against Senegal. It is going to be tough. I mean, they're 18th in the world for a reason, right? We'll just leave it at that. But, blimey, they're getting desperate now. They are 18th in the world, so they are favourites to qualify from this group. But from our perspective, teams like Benin are teams that we are going to end up facing at the African Cup of Nations. Teams of this level, you know, in terms of FIFA rankings, there's little to nothing between us two. So to come to their place and beat them is really, really, really satisfying for us. Other results in the group, Senegal, wow. Oof, they were 1-0 down to Kenya for like God knows how long. And then it took Ndai to equalise in the 88th minute, and then the other Ndai to score a penalty in the 89th minute. Like, if Kenya had won that game, that would have been so big for us and our World Cup dreams. Anyways, good win, boys. Well done. We have to admit that was a good win. The goal in the first minute was nice. Disappointed to concede the way that we did, but the game did kind of fizz out after the 60th minute. Like, the number of Benin highlights did decrease, I felt. But the fact that we were 3-1 up by that time really did help us. And, you know, credit where it's due to Nzola, and credit where it's due to Kwagika as well. Proving, I mean, he's got 10 passing, 6 vision, yet he still managed to hoof that ball forward to Nzola. But credit to myself as well for realising they were playing with a pretty high line and that it was something we could really take advantage of. And that's really one of our strengths. We've got Gelson's 16 acceleration, 15 pace. And Nzola, even though he's kind of... I talk about him more as a target man because he offers that, but really he's got 16 pace and 15 acceleration as well, which is why from a tactical perspective the way that we play is quite direct. We do want to use 2 strikers up front, and with them bombing their wing backs forwards, it was 2 centre backs against our 2 fast lads, so it was a no-brainer really. But there we go, a win against Benin. Next episode, well, I don't know when the next next episode will probably be at home against Senegal, which is going to be a massive, massive game. Obviously, in that episode, you'll find out what on earth happened in our friendly against Gabon. Looking forward to playing against Aubameyang, if he still plays for them. I mean, he might be too old now for him. I'm really not too sure. Yeah, what happens with us against Namibia in the African Cup of Nations qualifiers. We've already qualified, but obviously Morocco could still finish ahead of us. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are doing well right now as manager of Angola. Thanks for watching.